What's up guys, welcome to another left stick right stick video on Dreams. We're having a look at the robots themed contest of the Creative Community Jam. We had some very varied style levels in this whole jam. We had some models, some character models, some puzzlers, some really nice scenery, lots of different stuff in this week's Community Jam, and very great creations here. So first off, we're in the top 10, we've got Ultraviolet by Henry Hopkins Brown. This was a, one of those, I assume it's an endless runner, because, I never really got all that far. It was actually, I found it quite difficult just to actually space all the time, but this was actually very nicely done aesthetically. It just, everything fits very nice, very well. The whole, violet sort of color scheme fits the name, and every jump or platform that you make is a little point. I quite liked how at the beginning, you're actually just reading off the character itself. The character is like a little robot with a face, digital screen face, and the instructions were on its face, and once you started moving, it became a happy face. So that was actually pretty cool. I think my main difficulty was actually maintaining the right sort of angle of the camera to help me adjust the movement, because all these spaces actually weren't, I feel like it wasn't quite well spaced apart. It probably was play tested though, so I could progress quite a bit. It's just more of a matter of if I was moving it and jumping correctly. But it's great that you actually have a choice of just carrying on repeatedly, just try again, or you just go back to reality, which is actually quite nice. It's a very nice little fun, short mini game kind of thing. It does actually get you to keep playing though, and I feel like the more you play it, the more used to it you get, and it becomes a lot easier overall. But my max score I think actually ended up being 22, so let me know if you got a better score in the comments below. Next up we have Mama's Homemade Robot Jam by Ruleboo. This was an interesting creation, to say the least. I get the robot jam part. You're basically, it's a robot that is a jam jar, and it doesn't even have a solid lid. As soon as you jump, the lid flips up and all the jam spills out, and you've got like little mini jams, like a marmalade jam and maybe raspberry jam as well. All three are just basically different sizes of the same thing with different colored jams inside. The robots itself are quite funny. It's got like eyes and stuff. They look kind of cute. It's the whole scenery. I don't quite get the scenery because I feel like these balls of jam. Why is it a ball of jam instead of like a slushy kind of liquid that you could maybe pour onto the bread, make it a bit more meaningful in this little level? But apart from that, it's a nice little setting. I feel like a bit more could have been done to the homemade jam robot thing, apart from just having multiple copies there. They're quite fun, but still, it feels somewhat lacking in this level. Maybe a bit more interactivity would be nice, but I'm not quite sure if it's just showing off the actual robot itself in this level, or the scene with the bread and kettles and breakfast whole setting. But next up is Android by Bicubic. This is actually just its own character, and I find it's really nicely detailed, to be fair. It's got really great proportions. It's kind of like a silver kind of C3PO in some ways. It's got the motions. You can see like that little antenna thing actually flows with the motion, which is quite nice. Would have been nice to have some more sound effects to go with this character, maybe a few more actions to go with it. It is quite plain, but it does look quite nice, so I'm not, it's still, I feel like it's deserving of being in the top 10, because it's quite a neat little character. It's got, the robot aesthetics that you'd kind of expect. It's quite symmetrical, both left and right. The movement does seem to match it in some ways, the actual steps. Advanced robot, the running. So I guess that's pretty good. Maybe there'll be some more creations in the future who use this Android by Bicubic. Although, obviously, like I was saying, it would be nice to have a bit more features to it rather than just its standard being floppy character puppet. But it looks very nice regardless. Do you guys like these sculptures? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like them, click that like button, because these robots, I don't know, some of these creations are really nice, and some of them I feel like are slightly underwhelming. Next up we have Pluto's Revenge by Ikrapnate. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This was actually quite an interesting little level. You start off firstly by putting together Pluto, who is some tiny ass robot, and then he goes on like a little adventure to sort of become a bigger and better robot and much more massive. And I guess this is you'll find out, there's a whole story. I won't completely, actually, no, I'll spoil it. Is that basically this is a representation of Pluto the planet, and he's going off to exact revenge on people for demoting Pluto from being a planet. And so this is Pluto's, for some reason, is a robot. That part isn't quite well explained. And then he just equipping himself with more and more massive mechanisms of robot pieces, and he's just going out destroying the world and to become, exacting his revenge, say, who's a planet now, sort of thing. But I liked the variance between this level, how it transitioned from being, a small little platformer to becoming this mech city shooter, and then it will also become this, space flying, planet destroying, like runner thing, which is actually pretty cool. I really like the whole sort of story element to this, and also the effects, and also the robot creations were all very, very cool in this whole level. I feel like it could have deserved more likes, to be honest. But next up we have Gone Rogue by Lidus. Lidus seems to be quite a recurring creator in these jams. But this is a nice, really cool scenery too, obviously, which is just essentially the same robot, just different colored scheme. But I like the whole video aspect that's been done to this whole scene, as it were. This whole cutscene he's done. Lidus has actually all the camera work in place for you, so you don't have to be looking around yourself, maneuvering. There's actually very smooth transitions between looking over all the little bits of the robots. And the robots itself, they're quite basic looking, but it really works. They look very cool. And I guess the only thing that's really missing would have been, after this cutscene, it'd been nice to actually maybe see some animation of these two robots fighting. Obviously, maybe Lidus wasn't quite able to do that. He didn't quite know how to do it, or couldn't do it smoothly. But that would be the next progression on from this level of the scenery, is to actually see these two robots fight it out, or maybe just use this robot. So you can, have some slashing animations, some slashing attacks, some maybe dodge rolls, some jumping, maybe some other sound effects too. But overall, this is actually a very nice little scene. I really liked it, and I'd like to see more of these robots in the future. So that'll be really cool. Next up, we have Interitus Galactia by Diamond Yancey 10. This is more of a sort of tech demo kind of thing. You're this massive ass robot. I mean, it's kind of, I feel it's so weird, a weird looking robot. It's just a massive chunk of like hexagon, and then with just really small proportioned legs and arms. But it's got some really cool attacks. It's got amazing boosts, and it's quite a small little city that you're venturing around, and you can go around, you can punch stuff, and you can shoot your lasers, and you can boost around. And it's sort of like, kind of what you'd expect, you see in those car testing things. You've got those human test dummies. You've got those here, except for, you're testing out a massive mech robot that has much more destructive power than a car. And then you can just go around destroying stuff. You can go around looking around the city. It's a futuristic looking city. I feel like it's a bit of a shame that there isn't actually more to do. And, you can actually die by going off the end. It's not, a fully safe testing environment. But everything about this robot, the attacks, the boost, they all look pretty cool. The sound effects are quite nice. It's very fitting. I just wish there was maybe something more to do. Maybe like in this whole training facility, have a sort of timer zone to try and go around knocking down all the hazards in a certain time, just to add a bit more interactivity apart from just destroying this block of things, because it feels very quick after you've killed a few things. Next up, we have an asset, a tech bot version 1.1 by Farin 1979. I like how it is a very professional style naming of this robot, and it's obviously going towards one of the projects that Farin is working on. They've got their own Discord, their own group that they're working on this really big project, which you can go check out yourselves on their own website on GFX, Mad GFX. But this is a very intricate, I think, robot. It looks very cool, and I can't wait to see more of this robot. I think the only thing that I can say that could be improved on this sculpt is if we could see some animation on it, but obviously maybe there wasn't enough time for them to actually fine-tune that, and it's just the actual robot on its own, because you can see there's, you know, small smoking animations, which is really cool, and like these engine animations, which is really nice. But obviously, you know, when you're looking at this robot, you can see it being a bit imposing, a bit scary coming out, or maybe just like one of those dull, dead, you know, really run down, really needs sort of love and attention kind of robot. And you know, you'd like to see the movements that go along with it. I mean, that's the only thing that's the next step for this creation, I think, because it looks amazing. I love every part of it, to be honest. There's nothing that I don't really like about this, except for that there's not more to it, really. So great, well deserving of in the top 10 creations there. Next up is probably my favorite entry into the whole robots CCJ, and that is Porto by Cubic Sphere. This was a really nice, cool little puzzler. It just, the aesthetics look so polished, in my opinion. And it's, you know, you're a puzzler, you're this little robot. I mean, to be honest, you don't even look much like a robot. You're like a wooden piece of thing, but it is a robot, and you're trying to, you know, you're getting crates to weigh down switches so you can move along, really, and you can collect little things. This is sort of a kind of level which I'd actually expect to be, you know, like maybe a mobile game. What I'd expect, one of these really, you know, small indie game puzzler games, which is really cool. I mean, I just like the whole concept that this is actually quite a full-on finished kind of product in many respects. So that's what I really like about this Porto level, which in my opinion would have been first. But really loved it. The aesthetics of everything on point on every point. The difficult level was quite easy. I don't really know how hard this kind of puzzle things can really be, but there's good variety of places to go. I think the only thing that annoyed me a bit was the whole 3D landscape. It would have been nice if it was a bit slightly more isometric rather than fully 3D, if you get what I mean. So, you know, just only, you know, four directions of movement would have been nice. And I found it was great that it also had that nice little UI at the top right where it counted the time as well as the score. So very neat additions everywhere all around in this. Next up we have Bog MK1 by Typhus667. This is another sort of character model. So, I mean, to be fair, it's not all that surprising for a robot themed jam to have, you know, more robots, assets, character assets, where people are just making really cool, intricate robots. Personally, I'm not that big of a fan of Bog MK1. I'm not really sure why, to be honest. There's a lot of the actual gearing and stuff actually looks very nice and intricate. That looks very cool. Maybe it's just I'm not feeling. I mean, because obviously the look of Bog MK1 is meant to be quite a bit more scary, a bit more imposing. I guess maybe just because of the whole scenery background, it just made it look less scary than it's meant to be. So if only just a bit more work was done to like make the background look a bit more dark and creepy, it would have been a bit better, I guess. And you know, it's kind of weird that you had this platform where you can just walk off. You know, otherwise you could have done it like the Android level before, where you can just run around on the actual cloud anywhere. So that's, I mean, the actual, you know, the hand is very coolly detailed. I really like the ejection kind of arm. Would have been nice to see if there's like some special actions go along with it, because there's no real buttons. You can just move left and right. That's all there is. Would have been nice for some maybe other sort of animations to go along with it, apart from just the movement of Bog. And then finally, in first place, we have Curiosity by X Design Pro X. This was sort of like a little interactive movie kind of cutscene thing. Obviously, the whole world and scenery looks very vast, which is quite impressive. Honestly, the more you know I've seen of Dreams, I feel like that's technically quite easy to do. But you know, just regardless of how easy it is to do, it looks very nice and impressive. The lighting is done very cool. The robot itself, I feel like had some issues, just because, I mean, from what others have said, is that the leg is just a standard puppet that's been twisted around backwards, the standard feet of a puppet that's been twisted around backwards. That doesn't really look all too right to me, but I guess for many other people they didn't really care so much about that. The robot itself looked pretty cool. It has a nice level of detail as well. I guess this is more just how, it's not really much of a complaint, it's just how it could be improved better, is that maybe have a little angle dart where you need to walk towards this whole light, but maybe something to do as well apart from just walking towards the light. But I guess that's sort of the whole point of the actual narrative with this whole level of curiosity, which is beautiful. So I think it probably does deserve first, but obviously it wouldn't be my first pick. But I mean, let me know what you think about all these CCJ Dreams creations in the comments below, and I hope you stay tuned for more Dreams content to come on Left Stick Right Stick, and subscribe if you haven't already. So hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.